Okay, so welcome to this week's book reading. This is The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, the novelization. Chapter 1, Nightmares. In a vast and lush forest of Hyrule, I have long been the guardian spirit. I am known as the Deku Tree. The children of the forest, the so-called Kokiri, live here with me. Each Kokiri has its protective fairy. However, there is a child that does not have a fairy. Link sleeps and seems terrified as he moves in the little bed he has. Inside, in his mind, he is in a meadow, raining, and the bridge of the castle moves, letting out a white horse with a woman and a girl, whilst he watches them walk away across the meadow. The girl seems worried, and looks back so Link imitates her, and Link is also terrified to see a new horse. This time black with an evil-looking man in black armour. The man sees it, extends his hand, and it seems that Link will not survive. Chapter 2, The Kokiri Forest. Navi. Navi, where are you? Come closer. The little fairy approaches a huge mouth, while it continues speaking. Oh fairy Navi, hear the words of the Deku Tree. Don't you feel it? I can feel how evil descends on this land. At this very moment, evil forces are preparing to attack our land of Hyrule. For many years, the Kokiri Forest, the source of life, has acted as a barrier against external aggressions and has maintained order in the world. But even my power pales in the face of this enormous threat that looms over us. The time has come for the child without a fairy to begin his journey. Young man destined to return Hyrule to the path of justice and peace. Forward, Navi. Find our young hero and bring him before me. I don't have much time left. Fly, Navi, fly. The future of the forest, no, of the world, depends on you. And so the little fairy took flight throughout the Kokiri Forest, from time to time greeting one or another child, crashing against some fences, and finally entering a house with a hollow log. Inside there were not many things. A table in the centre, Tilicheros on the walls, and a bed in the back, on top of which was a child dressed in green clothes, like all of the Kokiri, sleeping. Navi came over and said, Hi Link, awake, the great Deku Tree wants to talk to you. Link up. For some reason, Link didn't want to wake up, he just moved a little. Navi despaired and began to flutter and scream. Hey, upstairs, is it possible that the fate of Hyrule hinges on such a lazy boy? Finally, Link woke up, yawned a little, and sat on the edge of the bed, looking at the fairy. The latter, already calmer, said, Well, you've finally woken up. I am the fairy Navi. The great Deku Tree has asked me to be your mate. Nice to meet you. The great Deku Tree wants to talk to you. Come on, there's no time to waste. Link nodded and left his house. Outside, a girl named Saria came running down to the foot of the ladder to access Link's house and greeted him. He came down and Saria said, What is that? Is this a fairy? You finally have a fairy to accompany you, Link. Wow, what a thrill. I'm glad for you. How are you Now you are a real Kokiri, Link. Saria explained to him. Link explained to Saria what Navi had said. How you say? That's the great Deku Tree have summoned you? It's a great honour. I wait for you here. Come on, go see the great Deku Tree. Link went to the path that leads to the great Deku Tree, but at the entrance he met Mido, the self-proclaimed head of the Kokiri, who did not let him pass, but was very surprised to see that the Lord without a fairy now had one, and also because of the fact that the great Deku Tree summoned Link and not him. Still, he told him that he would need a sword and a shield to pass, because without being armed, he could never help the great Deku Tree. For Link it was already customary for Mido to treat him badly, but now that it was something important it was not the time. But to shut his mouth, Link decided to look for a shield and a sword, but where would he find them? Beforehand he knew that the forest store sold Deku shields, but he didn't know for how many rupees, the official currency of Hyrule, and besides, where would I find a sword? It was quite a dilemma. But he didn't give up so quickly. He searched here, there and there, under rocks, behind houses, in the forest orchard, but nothing. There was no sword. But precisely in the orchard Link saw a tunnel that he'd not seen before. He ducked through it and came to a kind of labyrinth garden with a rock rolling between the corridors. Very carefully, Link dodged the rocks and reached a place where there was a stump and on top of it a chest. Opening it, he found a sword with the inscription Kokiri's sword on the hilt. It seems that it was his lucky day, because besides finding that sword, he found many rupees in the garden, and more than he had he could probably buy the shield. So he went to the store and saw that the shield cost 40 rupees, and to his surprise, that was the amount he had. So he bought it and went back to Mido, who stopped him and said, "Hey, what's that? You have a Deku shield, and what is that? Is that the Kokiri sword? How is it possible? I don't care. Even if you're armed, you're still a weakling. I, the great Mido, will never accept you as one of us. How have how have you become a favourite of Saria and the great Deku tree?" And grumbling, he set aside to let Link past. The path was not very long, but it did have its drawbacks, like some carnivorous plants that Link had to kill with his sword. The good thing was that they gave him sticks they were holding as rewards. These sticks, called Deku sticks, even though they seemed insignificant, could be very useful. At last, Link came to a wide enclosed meadow with a majestic lush tree right in the centre. Chapter 3. The Brave Link. Navi approached the Deku tree and said, "Great Deku tree, I'm back." Link didn't know how it was possible, but the tree had branches on its main trunk that pretended to be eyebrows, a nose and a moustache, which in turn would be the eyes and the mouth. Without moving them, he could speak. "Oh Navi, here you are. Link, welcome. Listen carefully to what I, the great Deku tree, am going to tell you. For several moons your dreams have been haunted by horrible nightmares. As the servants of evil grow stronger, an evil aura spreads throughout the world and causes certain sensitive people to have bad omens. I see that you are one of them. The time has come for you to test your courage, Link. They have put a curse on me. I need you to help me get rid of it with your courage and wisdom. Do you have the courage to accept this mission?" Link nodded, somewhat stunned. The Deku tree opened what appeared to be its mouth to the ground and continued. "Come in then, brave Link. Enter with Navi. And you have to help Link," he said, addressing the fairy. Once the great Deku tree finished speaking, and Link, even more astonished, went to the mouth of the great Deku tree and rushed inside. Chapter 4. The Great Deku Tree. The first thing Link saw as he entered was a spider web covering a hole in the ground of the main trunk. There were some carnivorous plants nearby, and the shelves stuck to the walls until they reached the upper floors. The first thing Link did was kill the carnivorous plants, and he realised that they were different from the ones in the path, because they attacked, and instead of giving him a stick, they gave him some nuts, also called Deku nuts, that served to stun enemies. Just to the left of the entrance was a ladder, which he found very strange that it was inside a tree, to reach the upper ledge. He climbed up and began to walk up the ledge until it was over, but continued a little further, and in the middle of the two there was a bump to get up from one to the other. And just in the other there were some vines to go directly up to that one. Without paying much attention to that, because he chose the ladder, he continued to ascend to the second ledge. He came to a part where there were more vines, since the ledge only reached one level higher, and at the foot of the lianas there was a chest. Link opened it and discovered a map, and when he saw and where he saw it, he was sure that the Great Deku Tree, he saw all the rooms in the Great Deku Tree. Sorry, this is very broken English. When he deciphered it, he saw that the entrance was obviously on the ground floor, and where he was now was floor 1. And to the southwest of where he was there were more rooms, so he decided to head there. He jumped off a missing piece of ledge and came to a metal door, stranger still than the ladder, and opened it. As he entered, the door slammed shut and bars came out behind it. Link realised that it must have been because of a thicket that was in front of him, in the centre of the room, and from which a monster emerged that threw a nut at him, and Link, as if on impulse, used the shield to make the nut bounce and hit him. Once the monster was hit, it came out of the bush and started running around the room until Link stopped him, and the monster said, "Oh, I'm sorry, sir. If I give you some advice, will you let me go? If you jump off a cliff and try to slide forward without hurting yourself, although I cannot guarantee, and try to slide forward, you'll avoid hurting yourself, although I can't guarantee that it will work if it's a very high cliff." Link's jaw dropped as he watched the monster flee, and the bars to the doors and the other one he hadn't seen were removed. Link entered through the latter and came to a somewhat dark room, with a lower floor, an upper floor, and a floor that Link was on, as well as some lianas to reach the upper floor, and a floating platform right in front of Link so that he could also reach the upper floor. Link decided to use lianas, that is, go down to the lower floor and go up, and then just jump and return to the main trunk room. On the top floor in the centre there was a chest containing the fairy spring shot, which he found very funny because he loved them. To the left of the chest there was another upper deck, and some vines to climb. Above, Link saw a smaller chest that had a heart to restore life, as this is how health is measured in Hyrule. Link was already preparing to jump onto the platform when Navi spoke to him to tell him that an old ladder hung from the ceiling right where the floor that reached the door was. Link decided to release his slingshot aiming at the ladder to make it fall, and he succumbed. And he succeeded, but he still decided to jump onto the platform, which began to wobble, and Link hurried to get to the door. He walked around the room where the brush was and came to the main room. Link, not knowing what to do, went down to the ground floor and noticed the cobweb hanging from the hole and looked down. There was water. Navi told him that maybe that was what was causing the Great Deku Tree's curse. Told him maybe that whatever was causing the Great Deku Tree's curse must be down below. So they had to cut the web, but Link couldn't because it was too big and it would take a long time to do it. Then he came up with a great idea. Climbed to the bump between the two ledges and jumped from there. He did this, but the web only sank a few inches and returned to its original position. Link looked up, but he only saw more cobwebs, and then he remembered the vines at the base of which was the map chest. So he went back up there and saw something he had not seen when he took the map. Spiders bigger than the normal stuck-in lianas. Link decided to kill them, and after this some of the spiders gave him rewards like seeds. So Link began to climb, and to his surprise he came to a ledge that circled the log, and the cobwebs went from there to the ceiling. There were also some holes, perfect for jumping from there to the hole's web, and finally raking it. However, in those holes there were more spiders, and about 5 times the size of the previous ones, which basically did nothing, just turned around. Link wanted to attack them, but we could not because the armour was so very resistant. When they turned, he stabbed at their belly and killed them. He was about to jump out of the hole when Navi stopped him short to tell him to check the map to see if something wasn't missed, and it was. To the west of the main room on floor 2 there was an oval-shaped room. Link went to that room, and when he entered, the door slammed shut with bars behind it. Inside, as in the Resortera room, a lower floor and 2 higher ones. One more to the west and another to the south, and of course, in which Link was one with 2 torches, only one lit, and one yellow switch stuck to the ground. Link was beginning to believe that the Great Deku Tree must have a voracious appetite. Link flipped the switch, and then 3 platforms emerged from the floor of the lower floor, exactly in the position to reach the other floors, in which there were chests. In the southern one there was another heart. In the western one there was a compass which, together with the map, marked the location of various hidden items in the Great Deku Tree. Link returned to the floor of the torches and the switch thanks to some lianas that were there, but the door still did not open. So Link assumed that he must light the missing torch. So he used a Deku stick to light it thanks to the other torch. And when he did, the door was opened. Back in the main room, Link chose a hole, and remembering what the monster in the bush had told him, he threw himself towards a spider web, and it effectively broke, causing Link to go down to the room with water and various other things, which must be at the roots of the Great Deku Tree. This room had water that came out of what appeared to be drainage, although it looked like it was very clean. As soon as he fell, to the north and south there was solid ground that Link could reach. To the west too, but it was higher and Link could not go up, and to the east it was a creeper going up to the main room. First Link climbed to the northern mainland and saw a switch, a torch and a cobweb covering the latter. Link flipped the switch and the torch ignited, burning the web. From there you could see to the south there was another cobweb and a door behind it, so Link took a Deku stick, lit it with a torch and headed south, taking care that when he jumped into the water he did not unlight the torch, he burned the cobweb and immediately entered the door. In the next room there was a thicket again, and when Link approached, another monster came out, repeating the previous attack. The thicket told him, "Excuse me, I will not do. If you'll forgive me, I'll teach you something useful. Soon you'll face my brothers, and you won't be able to beat them unless you hit them in the correct order. That order is 2-3-1. 23 is number 1. Will I be a traitor?" And the monster fled. Link believed that the door he had not seen with bars would open, but it did not, and above it there was a diamond with an eye in the middle. Link supposed he had to close that eye to be able to continue, so he took out his spring shot and hit the eye, which closed, and in effect the bars were removed and Link continued. In the next room there was also water that looked like it was coming from a drain. A door on the other side of the room, a platform coming back and forth in the water, and a tube with thorns right in the centre of the space with water. Link climbed onto the platform, but soon jumped into the water when he saw that he was going to hurt himself with the tube, and then he saw a switch at the bottom of the water. Link didn't know how to dive very well, but he gave it a try and flipped the switch, making the water level drop a bit, enough to be able to cross the water on the platform without hurting himself on the spiked tube. When he got to the other shore, the door was on a higher level, but there was a block nearby so he could push it to the wall, climb on it and get to the door. However, a sturdy shell spider, which Navi said were called skulltulas, blocked her way, so she waited for her to turn around and attacked her belly. Once dead, Link pushed the block, climbed up and entered the next room. She didn't even realise that the water had returned to its normal level. When he got to the room, the door was barred shut. There were carnivorous plants, the ones that attacked and not. At this rate, Navi was remembering the names of all these enemies, and was telling Link, in this case the plants were called Baba Deku. Link killed them all and peered around the room. There was another door with bars and 3 torches. One lit as if it was from a temple, and others not lit and normal. He used a Deku stick to light the ones that weren't, and the doors opened, and Link continued to the next room. The room started with a corridor and was larger. At the end of the corridor there was a skulltula already turned over, so Link hit him on the belly before he turned around. At first glance there was nothing new about this room, just an inactive Deku Baba on one side, a burning torch on another, a cobweb on another with an active Deku Baba behind, and a stone wall behind and on another side, another corridor. Link went to the centre of the room, and then some very strange eggs fell. They were red in colour with white, and suddenly they opened, showing some super strange monsters called Gormalava, with a single aquarine eye, which then turned red to attack. It only took Link one blow to finish them off. He also eliminated the Deku Babas and, as he could not cross the stone block, which looked very strange, he went to the opposite corridor from which he came out, and there was another cobweb. He used the Deku stick to light it and burn the torch, and noticed a tunnel behind it. He crossed it and came to the room from which he had fallen after breaking the cobwebs. He used the Deku stick to light it and burn the torch and noticed a tunnel behind it. He crossed it and came to the room from which he had fallen after breaking the cobweb from the main log, but this time he was on dry land that he could not reach. Link took out the map, and indeed, all the rooms he had travelled made him return to the main one, but on the upper floor. He also noticed that behind the previous stone wall there was a room, but he did not take it into account. On that upper floor there was another cobweb on the floor, several torches in the corner, and a block equal to the one in the room with water. Since Link could not jump from higher as before due to the roof over the spiderweb, he could also burn it. But the torches were too high for Link to light a Deku stick, so he had an idea. He pushed the block towards the water, which fell without being completely covered by the water. He took a Deku stick and lit it with the same torch that was lit when he activated the switch, and before it went off, he jumped to the block, went to the upper floor and lit the cobweb on the floor without further ado, threw himself inside. It fell into water again, but now it seemed pure clean and not draining. Upon reaching the mainland, Link saw 3 bushes and assumed they were the ones the previous bush had told him about. So we made the same attack, but in the order the first one had said. First to the middle, then to the right, and the last one to the left, who came out of the thicket terrified and said, "How did you know our secret? I'm so angry that I'm going to have to reveal Queen Godma's secret to you. If you want to beat her, try hitting her eye with your sword while she's stunned." "Oh no, dear Queen, I'm so sorry," and he left. There was a barred gate between the first and second thickets, which opened. Chapter 5. Queen Godma. Link walked down a corridor and came to a room. Then the wall closed behind him, locking him inside the room, which was quite tall and had 4 pillars forming a square in the centre. Link heard a noise coming from the ceiling and looked up, and he didn't like what he saw at all. There was a giant spider, similar to the Queen Godma larva that had attacked, but about 3 times as large. Then the spider looked at him, shook its one eye a bit, and fell precipitously, and Link knew it was Queen Godma. This one stood on its tail and with its pincers tried to attack Link, who, very nervous, took out his spring shot and hit them in the eye, which made Godma stunned, and then Link began to attack left and right, until as Godma came out of their daze, she walked away to one of the pillars to climb back on the roof. There, her eye turned red, and she threw several eggs from her tail, which Link was quick to remove before the larva emerged. Again, Godma was about to throw eggs, but Link more quickly pointed the spring shot at its eye and hit it, causing the spider to fall, stunned. Again, and with all his might, Link attacked her until finally Queen Godma began to moan in pain, and began to burn with strange blue flames. She fell to the ground as she disintegrated until there was nothing in that room but Navi and Link. And there was a heart container to increase Link's health, a beam of light that appeared just as Godma disappeared. Link took the container and felt much better, stronger. Then he stepped into the beam of light as it engulfed him, and suddenly appeared in front of the great Deku Tree. Okay. Chapter 6. A Danger is Coming. Well done, Link. The great Deku Tree spoke a little better. Link watched him as Navi climbed down next to him. "You have proven to be very brave. I knew you were capable of fulfilling the mission I entrusted to you. But I have more to tell you if you want to listen." Link nodded. "Now pay attention. An evil man from the desert is responsible for this curse." Then the Deku Tree turned a strange colour, nothing typical of his being, as if thinking while he continued speaking. "This villain ceaselessly uses malevolent powers to seek the sacred kingdom connected to Hyrule. Because in the sacred kingdom is the divine relic, the Triforce, which contains the essence of the gods." Link suddenly looked at a strange sky with a strange rain too, nothing normal, while the Deku Tree continued speaking, but no longer with his voice, but with a deeper and more reaching voice, as if it were divine, but in a lower range. "Before time, spirits and life itself existed. 3 golden goddesses descended to Hyrule where chaos reigned. Link saw 3 lights in the sky, 1 green, 1 red, and 1 blue. Din, the goddess of power, and the red light was seen in more detail. It was like an angel of fire. Nehru, the goddess of wisdom. Link saw a blue light, and it was like an angel with water. Pharaoh, the goddess of courage, and saw the green light, like an angel with forest leaves. The 3 of them had their hands together. Din shot a flash into the air, and it exploded and expanded like a light bomb. Then the sky changed, and several stones and lightning crossed Link's field of vision. Din, with his mighty arms of fire, he cultivated the soil and created the red earth. A rock floor appeared before Link, like a desert. Nehru poured out her wisdom on the earth and gave the world the spirit of order. The blue angel launched several blue waves over what appeared to be a rock mountain. And then the sun, she shone in the blue skies as the clouds crept towards. Pharaoh, his infinite soul, created all beings that defend justice. The green angel suddenly came out of a hedge, expanding green waves in the very meadow of the great Deku Tree. Behind where Link was, although he felt though this event had long gone. Again the strange sky of the beginning appeared with the rain. Once their work was finished, the three goddesses ascended to the heavens, and they left sacred golden triangles at the point from when they left the world. Link saw when the goddesses disappeared, and in their place the three triangles that said the Great Deku Tree appeared, and glowed brightly as the sky changed colour. The place where the triangles rest became the Holy Realm. Link, sitting on the ground, looked again at the Great Deku Tree, which looked strange, like pale, as he said, "You must not allow that dark-armoured man, Desert Man, to lay his hand on the sacred Triforce. You must prevent that dark-hearted man from penetrating the sacred realm. The evil man has cursed me, and is undermining my jeers. I have little time left." Link was surprised. "Despite your efforts to break the curse, I was already doomed before you accepted this mission. I will abandon you shortly, but do not be sorry for me. I have been unable to talk to you about these serious matters. It is the last hope for Hyrule, Link," he said as he stood up. "Go to Hyrule Castle. There you should find the Princess of Destiny. Take this stone. It's the same one that the evil man who cursed me coveted so much." Then in front of Link appeared a circular green stone, wrapped halfway up with a spiral at the centre, and a bulge from below the golden circle. It was the Kokiri Emerald. The Great Deku Tree had entrusted Link with the Spirit Stone of the forest. The Great Deku Tree continued. "Your future is in your hand, Link. You are brave. Navi, my dear fairy, you must help Link." Then the Great Deku Tree began to turn paler and speak more hoarsely. "I beg you, Navi. Goodbye." Brown and orange leaves began to fall from the branches of the Great Deku Tree as the Deku Tree, from its brown colour, turned grey. Navi, flying over to Link, said, "We must head to Hyrule Castle, Link. Goodbye, Great Deku Tree." Link ran towards the Kokiri Forest. Navi stared for a while at the Great Deku Tree. That there, where it had always been, without moving, and while the leaves continued to fall, was dead. Chapter 7. The Ocarina of the Fairies. Link went out to the Kokiri Forest, but Mido stopped him and said, "Link, what have you done? The Great Deku Tree has died?" Link nodded. "How could you let that happen? It's your fault." And he walked away, looking very indignant. The other children in the forest would ask him things like, "What happened to Mido? He's furious," or "What have you done to the Great Deku Tree?" which made Link feel very bad. Others even asked him where he was going, to which Link answered that he was going to the castle. But the children did not understand him, because they never left the forest. Because according to their law, it was certain death. Link decided to go to Saria's house to get some consolation, but she was not there, so without further ado, in order to continue not feeling bad, he went out through the log that marked the exit of the Kokiri Forest. On the other side was a bridge that crossed a darker and lush forest, and that connected to another log that Link did not know what was behind. He decided to run across the bridge when a voice stopped him. "You're leaving." Link turned and looked at Saria standing on a rope, supporting the bridge with her fairy flying around her. He approached her, and she continued, "I always knew that one day you would leave the forest, Link, because you're not like me and my friends. It doesn't matter, because we'll always be friends, right?" And he approached an ocarina that she had in her hand. "Take this ocarina. Take good care of it." Link took the one that they called took the thing that they called the Ocarina of the Fairies. Saria kept talking. "When you touch it, I hope you think of me and come to this forest to visit." Link stared at Saria for a while, and began to take steps backwards, as if holding back something, and ran away, leaving his friend with a face of joy mixed with sadness. Chapter 8. The Plains of Hyrule. Link stepped out of the final log to the outside. It started out as a corridor that turned right. There was no more forest, nor was that magic touch of the Kokiri felt, although there were a few trees. As Link walked around the hall, a deep voice surprised him. It was an owl perched on a branch who said to him, "Boo! Boo! Look up here, Link. I think the time has come for your adventure to begin. Along the way you will face many difficulties, as it is your destiny. Do not give up, even if you have difficult times. This trail goes to Hyrule Castle. There you will meet a princess. If you get lost and do not know where to go, consult your map of the Hyrule. You could go to many points on the map. If you do not know where to go, you do not where you should continue. You've understood? Link nodded. Good. See you later. Hoo hoo. Link started walking across the meadow. In the distance he saw more trees, a river, some plants too big to be plants, and even a building in the centre of the meadow that caught his attention. But before he could look around, Navi stopped him and said, "The great Deku Tree asked us to go to Hyrule Castle to speak with the princess. Shouldn't we go?" Link nodded and kept walking until he spotted the castle and knew he had arrived. Despite not having walked as much as he expected, it was soon dusk and twilight gathered on the horizon. Chapter 9. The Citadel of Hyrule. He reached the bridge that connected the walls and the meadow to cross a river. Link guessed it was the same one he had seen in his dreams. As he passed the bridge, he saw a guard who said to him, "Welcome to the Citadel of Hyrule. It is a prosperous and peaceful place." At that time he had not yet reached the castle, and indeed there were several houses where he was. He continued advancing and came to a square with several people shopping, standing in one place. A wedding couple next to the central fountain, some chickens and the occasional dog. For Link all of this was completely new. He had never socialized with outsiders, as he grew up believing that if he left the forest he would die, and now he's meeting all these people. Just as he entered the plaza, Link saw some towers in the distance, and knew that that was Hyrule Castle. He kept walking, and then met a girl who showed curiosity in him and said, "Those clothes!" Link was dressed differently from everyone. He had the green clothes of the Kokiri on. "It's very curious. You're not from here, are you?" The girl was deep in thought and finally said, "Of course, you were a boy of the forest. My name is Malon. My dad is the owner of Lon Lon Ranch. You probably saw it when you were coming here." Link nodded in thought. "My dad's gone to the castle to deliver milk and still hasn't come back. It's late, don't you think?" Link left Malon a little worried, but he kept walking to the path directly to the castle. It began in a small canyon, and at the end of it there was a tree, and to the right it followed up the path. Link advanced a little and found the owl perched on the treetop again, who said, "Hey Link, here. The princess is in the castle. Be careful not to be seen by the guards, hoo hoo. Do you understand me, Link?" Link nodded again. "Okay, you're a very smart boy. Good luck, hoo hoo." The sky quickly turned purple. Link continued advancing through the canyon and came to a wall with bars and a guard guarding it. Link approached and the guard stopped him, saying, "Wow, so you want to see the princess, right? Interesting. Surely you'll have heard of her in town and thought to come greet her. Let's see how to explain it to you. Get out of here, outside. The princess would never give an audience to a child like you." Chapter 10. Malon's Plan. Link returned somewhat disappointed, and to his surprise, he met Malon once he had turned back to the Citadel, who was singing very beautifully. Link approached her and the girl stopped singing and said, "Are you going to the castle, fairy child? Would you mind looking for my dad? He must have fallen asleep near the castle. An adult shouldn't do these things. In exchange for looking for him, I'll give you this. I've been very carefully incubating this egg for a long time." And she gave him an egg that looked very strange. Link saw some vines behind Malon that he hadn't seen before. He climbed them and reached a high place, high enough to be able to cross the wall with bars. Maybe it was wrong, but he should see the princess and find Malon's dad. So he got to where the upper path ended, but in the wall, in the ceiling, there was a hole with a ladder to get down to a room inside the wall. Link carefully went down and opened the door that was there, and luckily, he came out the other side of the bars. Very cautiously, he continued walking. It was already night time, and apparently the meadow in front of the castle was very well guarded, because there were guards here and there. Link had to be extremely careful not to get caught. Going straight along the path to the bars there was a dead end, and to the left I followed the path to get to the castle. and to the left of the entire path there was a fairly wide field, and it was not so full of guards. The tree where Link had seen the owl was attached to that field. Link decided to go through the field, being close to the path, so as not to get lost, and reach where the path ended. That is, where the surroundings of the castle began. Link again discovered some vines to the left of the path. On an upper floor, he climbed them, and when he reached the end he threw himself to the ground before the castle, which he had not noticed because he was careful not to be seen. It was very tall and beautiful. Without paying much attention, he continued to advance to the right, which was where the entrance was, but there were more guards. There was a stream like the one between the citadel and the prairie of Hyrule, so he didn't think twice and jumped and swam as far as he could, because further to the right you could see he was following the path. And indeed, once he got away from the guards, he reached the mainland, and the road turned left in the direction of the castle. In the distance he saw a door and entered it. But before arriving he saw that it was already dawn, which was a bit strange to him because there was very little time for him to spend the whole night. Still he continued moving forward and felt something strange in his pockets. And then something pecked at him. The egg Malin had given him had been broken, and a rooster was quivering in its pocket. For Link this was the strangest thing of the day, because normally a chick should have come out, but in spite of that he kept it. When he got to the door he saw some boxes with a cow inscribed on them, and a man sleeping and snoring very loudly while he said in his dreams, "Our ranch is the best, visit there." Link assumed it was Malin's dad, but how to wake him up without looking so rude? His problem solved when the rooster crowed so loud and the man woke up screaming, "What the hell? Is it possible? You can't even sleep anymore? Who are you?" Before answering, Link asked him if he was the owner of the ranch, so the man continued, "Yes, my name is Talon. I came to the castle to make a milk delivery, but sat down to rest and it seems I fell asleep." Link explained that his daughter was waiting for him. "Malin's looking for me? Now I'm in trouble. I screwed up. I left her waiting for me. She's going to tell me anything but pretty," and he ran away in terror. Link laughed a little and then tried to open the door, but couldn't. Then he saw that the water that fed to the stream through the small waterfall coming from a tunnel attached to the castle wall. Link wanted to jump there, do whatever it took to get inside. So an idea occurred to him when he saw the boxes. He used them to jump into the tunnel and almost fell. But he came and went into the tunnel, not caring if he got wet or not. Okay. I think we'll call it there, because the next chapter's quite long. Call it there for this week and carry on next week.